Cheers, welcome. My name's Frankie. Today, I think I would like to do the video that we did a poll on. So, this was back a little while ago on my Twitter account, and a good portion of y'all wanted to see an update on Kyron Horman and his guilty step monster, in my opinion. Terry Horman Vasquez now. Yeah, she got married again. Okay, his name is, okay, let's see if I can do this right. Jose de Jesus Vasquez Marinez. Marinez. It's a long name. Anyways, let's just get into it. So, Kyron Richard Horman was born September 9th, 2002 in Portland, Oregon, to Desiree Young and Kane Horman. Sadly, they ended up getting a divorce about 8 months into it, with Desiree basically citing irreconcilable differences. They had both been given shared custody of Kyron till about 2004, when sadly Desiree was diagnosed with kidney failure and required medical intervention. I read somewhere that she had to go to Canada for a while. Now, I'm not sure 100% on that, but it was extreme and intensive. But Desiree did continue to be a mother to Kyron. She still helped raise him. So not long after the divorce, Kane married Terry Lynn Moulton at the time. She's a substitute teacher from Roseburg. Kane became involved with her about 2001 when Desiree and he were getting their divorce. They ended up getting married in 2007 when they were on a holiday in Kauai, Hawaii. It didn't take long, and Terry was up the duff. In 2008, December, I do believe, Terry gave birth to their daughter, Kiara. So now we'll jump to June 4th, 2010. Kyron was in grade 2 and 7 years old. Stepmonster Terry Lynn Moulton took him to his school, Skyline Elementary, where Kyron was working on his science project. He had a really impressive exhibit. It was on the red-eyed tree frog. And it sounds like around 8:15, the PTA president, Gina Zimmerman, saw both Kyron and Terry at Kyron's exhibit. So Terry had taken the time to tell a few people that she had to take Kyron to the doctor that day. But later, when this was mentioned to Terry, she's saying they were all confused. She meant the following Friday. So thinking Kyron was going to the doctor after the fair, Stepmonster had taken a couple pictures of Kyron and his projects, and she said at about 8:45 it was the last time she seen Kyron, and he was walking down the hall to his first class. Now, this version of Terry's has changed a couple of times to kind of suit what she's saying at the time, but this seems to be the one that she has repeated the most. Anything Terry says, take with a grain of salt. I don't think that woman has ever been taught how to tell the truth. So, Kyron was never seen in his first class, but as teacher Christina Porter did say, she thought he was going to the doctor. So he just got a no-show. So there are a total of 3 or 4 people that actually seen Kyron walking to Terry's truck after the science fair. And there's also a few tips that said there was another person, adult, in that truck. Terry told the police that after leaving the school at about 8:45 in the morning, that she ran errands at two different Fred Meyer's grocery stores until about 10:10 in the morning. And then at about 11:39 in the morning, she said that she was driving baby Kiara around town and the back roads, hoping the vehicle would help soothe Kiara's earache. After that, Terry said she went to the gym and worked out until about 2:40 in the afternoon. Good mom, don't take the baby home because of the earache. Go work out. So anyways, she went to the gym and worked out until about 12:40 in the afternoon. Then by 1:21, she was back home and posted photos of Kyron's science fair on her Facebook. I'd like to know if that was a normal behavior for her. I highly doubt it, but I would be curious to know if that was something that she did, was take pictures of the children and then rush there to download them. So about 3:30 in the afternoon, Terry and Kane walked with their daughter Kiara to the bus stop to meet Kyron. It was at this point that the bus driver told them that Kyron had not been on the bus and to call the school. When Step Monster called, only to be told by the school secretary that Kyron had not been at the school since early that day and was marked absent. This is when they realized that Kyron was missing. That's when the school secretary called 911. One thing that I find rather sad is there was no cameras set up in that school to see who did what. So about 45 minutes later, both Portland police and the Multnomah Sheriff's Department showed up at both the school and to Kyron's home. Search efforts for Kyron were massive. They mainly focused in a 2-mile radius around the Skyline Elementary School, as well on, I think it's pronounced Sovey Island, which is about 6 miles away. But for some reason, during that basically time that we cannot account for, Terry's phone was pinging on that island. When the police did go there, they were not willing to say what they were searching for, just that they had had a tip to go to that direction. Local and state police with the FBI conducted an exhaustive search and started a criminal investigation. But they have not uncovered any significant information and have not really come up with anything significant regarding Kyron's whereabouts. So Kyron Horman's disappearance was literally the largest criminal investigation in Oregon history. Almost 12 years ago now, the main and only suspect is the step monster from hell, Terry Horman, and her friend Dee Dee Spitzer. So by 10:45, they had searched both the Skyline Elementary School and Kyron's home and had started looking at all the tips that were coming in. The following day was June 5th, and that's when Pacific Northwest Search and Rescue joined in. That was around 5 in the morning. When they arrived, there was already 60, 70 people already there to search. They were ready to go. By 9:08 in the morning, the sheriff had emails sent out saying that Kyron's age was 7. He was still missing. And basically, they put out an Amber Alert and got things going. The tip line was set up, and they were hoping for that clue. Later the same day, the National Guard and FBI joined in, and on Sunday, June 6th, the FBI brought in profilers from Quantico, Virginia. By this time, there was 50 investigators that were literally interviewing 300 students from the school. It was also the same day that Kyron's parents started handing out flyers. Kyron was described as a 7-year-old, 3'8", 50 pounds, blue eyes, brown hair, glasses. His clothing, that he was wearing black cargo pants, a CSI shirt, and black Skechers with orange trim. At 3:30 p.m., Carol Smith, the school superintendent, gave a press conference and giving basically updates on what was happening with Kyron's search. On June 9th, 2010, Kyron's family released this statement. Kyron's family would like to thank the people for support and interest in finding their son. The outpouring of support and continued efforts strengthen their hope. We need for folks to continue to assist us in our goal. Please search your properties, cars, buildings, sheds, anything that's on your property where a small child could be. Also check with neighbors and friends who may be on vacation or may need assistance in searching. There are a lot of resources here to help you search, so please don't stop. It is obviously a difficult time, and they want to speak to the public so you can hear it from Kyron's family as they come together to share their message. Their objective is to keep focus on Kyron and nothing else. On June 12th, about 300 trained rescuers were on the ground searching all the wooded areas around the school. The search for Kyron lasted over 10 days. It was the largest search in Oregon's history. It ultimately included 1,300 searchers from Oregon, Washington, and California. There was a reward posted for information leading to the discovery of Kyron. It was originally $25,000, but was up to $50,000 in late July 2010. Sadly, by June 13th, the search started scaling back. And it was also this time that Kyron's case was now looking as a criminal investigation. Ultimately, the search for Kyron was with more than 1,300 people searching that area. In late June 2010, in the middle of the search, Kane was told by investigators that Terry had offered their landscaper, if he would be willing for a lot of money to kill her husband. Sanchez testified in a deposition that Terry approached him to kill her husband in January 2010. So this is only 5 months before Kyron's disappearance. But, of course, in her own deposition, Terry denied everything. Terry always denies everything. Investigators convinced Sanchez to talk to Terry while wearing a wire. But they were not able to get any evidence, so they could not make an arrest. Basically, it sounded like Terry got a little bit, spidey senses were working. She wasn't willing to say anything, expected him to be wearing a wire. This woman is a piece of work. On June 28th, Kane filed for divorce, and at that point, he got a restraining order against Terry for him and Kiera. The divorce was granted. Terry was granted visitation, but Kane did get custody, and he got a restraining order that was approved on July 8th. At this point, Terry moved in with her parents in Roseburg. And at that point is when Kane and Kiera moved back to the house. It was around that time that Terry literally failed 2 polygraphs, trying to tell people that it was due to her hearing. No, Terry, it's due to the fact you did something with that little boy. In regards to Kyron's disappearance in August 2010, it was released that law enforcement were searching for an individual seen by 2 witnesses sitting inside Terry's truck outside of Skyline Elementary School the day of Kyron's disappearance. Just wait till you meet Dee Dee. A former sheriff from Multnomah County Sheriff's Office told CBS News the identity of that second person, if he or she existed, could be critical in determining what happened to Kyron after 9 a.m. on June 4th. So in July 2010, the Multnomah County grand jury subpoenaed friends of Terry, including Dee Dee Spitzer, who both Desiree and Kane describe as having been in close communication with Terry. She also provided Terry not just with support, but with burner phones. According to law enforcement, though, Spitzer was extremely cooperative. She did allow them to search her property and car, as well as a 3-hour interview from detectives on the day of Kyron's disappearance. Dee Dee abruptly left her work. She was gardening for a job. Now, she left that place at 11:30 in the morning and did not return back for an hour and a half. She has not been seen by anybody. Possibly she was seen in the passenger side of Terry's truck. So during this time, Dee Dee told reporters, "There's this horrid thing that my friend is going through. If I thought for 1 second that she was capable of foul play, I would not have been there and she would not have been my friend." I don't know. There's nothing but bullshit coming out of both these women. So in August 2010, both Desiree and Kane were subpoenaed and testified during the grand jury hearing, as was the school principal of Skyline Elementary. In December 2010, it was reported by the Oregonian that the grand jury had yet to provide compelling evidence, yielding a potential indictment. By November 29, 2010, search efforts for Kyron's case had cost an estimated $1.4 million. And that's according to the county commissioners. They received 4,257 tips. In May 2017, it was reported by Portland station KGW that a secret grand jury panel continued to hear evidence in Kyron's disappearance and had convened on multiple occasions. During the report, Kyron's case was described as still active and going on, or ongoing. Then 2 months later, in July 2017, Ellie had done further searches along Skyline Boulevard, but the searches had zero results. In June 2018, Desiree posted on the official Find Kyron Horman Facebook page, "Stay tuned, something big is coming, I promise you." June 1st, 2012, Desiree Young filed a civil lawsuit against Terry, claiming she was responsible for the disappearance of Kyron. The lawsuit attempted to prove that Terry had kidnapped Kyron on the day he disappeared. Desiree wanted $10 million in damages. But then on August 15th, 2012, a federal court judge denied a motion for Terry to delay the lawsuit. I don't understand that. On August 15th, 2012, a federal court judge denied a motion by Terry to delay the lawsuit. Okay. In early 2012, Dee Dee Spitzer refused to answer any of the 142 questions she was asked during a deposition regarding Desiree Young's lawsuit. In these questions were several regarding Dee Dee's whereabouts on June 4th, 2010, and her contact with Terry that day. She also declined to identify a photo of Kyron, as well as whether she had ever met him or not, and whether she knew the father Cain. There's very little doubt in my mind that Dee Dee Spitzer, her actions speak way louder than her words. These women, they need to go to jail. During testimony provided by Cain in a separate hearing that year, he says the police had told him they have more probable cause to think Terry Horman was involved in Kyron's disappearance than they did 2 years ago on July 30th, 2013. It was announced, sadly, that Desiree had to drop the lawsuit against Terry so that it would not get in the way of the police investigation. She was devastated, but she gets it. Let them get everything. Go get those women. This family needs justice for their little boy, Kyron. So in 2016, Terry appeared as a guest on Dr. Phil. That is when she told Dr. Phil, "I was advised from the beginning by law enforcement, by my husband at the time, by attorneys in the beginning, not to say anything. I've always wanted to. I've asked multiple times to speak out and have never been allowed." She denied having any involvement in Kyron's disappearance and also stated in her belief that he was kidnapped, adding something about a man and a white Ford pickup parked on Highway 30 at the 7-Eleven. I don't think this person has ever existed. They weren't able to find him. She said he was acting very strangely, and he was addressed by one of the employees because he had been pacing back and forth in front of the 7-Eleven for about an hour. This is what Terry says. Now, I have never found any kind of backup. So, this is not over. Terry has remarried. She now goes by the name of Vasquez. She's living the life in Clear Lake, California. working as a counselor. A counselor. This has to be the biggest slap in the face. And it is truly scary that she is in a position to mold minds. This is an outrage. A counselor. So I guess what I would love to ask, if there's anybody living in that area, maybe contact me. I would love to have somebody out in that area that could hand out flyers. That would be awesome. So either contact me directly or leave something in the comments and I'll try and contact you. So as we know, Terry and Dee Dee have ever-changing stories. So in my mind, there's no question about their guilt or innocence. I think that Ellie believes the same. I've never really heard anyone say leave her alone. So I guess, why are they free? Why are they free? Why have they not gone out and arrested these women? There has been so much evidence. When this first happened, I remember. And at that moment, seeing Terry and her performance, I had no idea. I knew she was guilty. She was a very piss poor actress. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Her and her little buddy Dee Dee Spitter. So I'm hoping that law enforcement, takes another look at this. It's been 12 years. Kyron should have graduated by now. Look at his face. He is the most adorable child. Whatever those two monsters did, they need to be held accountable. On the 10th anniversary of Kyron's disappearance, his mom Desiree held a vigil for Kyron. It was about 7:30 in the evening. It was located at the Brook United Historic Church on Skyline Boulevard. They did like a celebration, and then they let off a bunch of balloons. Beautiful. So there's a book. It's called Boy Missing: The Search for Kyron Horman. It was written by Rebecca Morris, released in May of 2020. The book claims Kyron's regular bus driver, a classmate, and two of the classmates' family members witnessed Kyron walking through the school parking lot with Terry and Kiara. I would have thought that this might have been enough for Ellie to give them a couple more options, but again, they're not charged. So there's also, it's called Vanished from School. So it's season 2, episode 2. And they did a show, Real Life Nightmare, I think, on Discovery ID. And this aired on November 15th, 2020. And another one that I would recommend. Something else that happened in the past while is Adventures with Purpose. Also spent time looking for Kyron. This family deserves justice. If you have any information, I don't care, in the last 12 years, if you have any information that you have not told, no matter how small it is, get a hold of your local law enforcement. There's a tip line, 503-261-2847. And you know what? Don't hesitate to call the FBI as well. It's 202-324-3000. You can also call 911. there's a few different options, and I'm sure if you want to be a silent witness, that can be easily arranged. So I do hope that the law enforcement does their due diligence and goes over Kyron's case again, because the answers are there. Somebody has to take the time. Somebody has to start somewhere. So that is the unbelievably sad story of Kyron Horman. Don't even hesitate to call those numbers if you have anything else to add. So for now, I just want to say cheers. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I very much appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the bell for notifications for future feeds, and that thumbs up. It helps me get into the algorithm and puts my content out there a little bit further. It gives it a bigger reach. So for now, I'm off to research another case, and I am looking very forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers, you guys.